This is my go-to V60 technique to get the right balance of sweetness for when I brew natural and wash processed coffee. There is no doubt that Hario V60 is the most famous and also most used pour-over dripper in the world, and that there are tons of recipes and techniques you can find on the internet. But this update from my previous V60 technique that I've posted over 3 years ago will help you more to reach the right balance of sweetness with natural and washed processed coffee. I always prefer using the plastic V60 02, but if you have it in ceramic or glass or metal, it's fine. The coffee to water ratio I use depends on the kind of coffee I'm brewing. If I brew a washed processed coffee, I normally use a ratio of 1 to 16.6, usually 15 grams of coffee with 250 grams of water. If I brew a natural processed coffee, I use a coffee to water ratio of 1 to 16. So 15 grams of coffee with 240 grams of water. And this because usually washed processed coffee are less soluble, so they need a bit of more water to get more balanced, and instead the natural processed coffee need less water because they are more soluble. After the ratio, the grind size. I usually start with 25 regular clicks with a Comandante hand grinder. If I'm brewing a wash processed coffee and I see that it drains a bit too slowly, I change the settings to 27 clicks, and this is to reduce the contact time in between coffee and water. Reducing this contact time, it will reduce the extraction of astringent compounds. If a natural processed coffee drains too fast, I actually don't grind finer. I keep 25 clicks at first, because usually coffee that drains fast with this setting are also very soluble, so I don't need more contact time and contact surface to extract more from them. Water temperature, I usually start with 90 degrees, because I found that a lower temperature than the standard 93 or 95 degrees is able to extract the same quantity of solutes, but it changes the quality of extraction. 90 degrees extract more delicate compounds than when you brew with the water at higher temperature. Also, this temperature is very good if the coffee you're brewing is slightly darker than usual. But if I'm brewing a very light roast wash coffee, I know that I need to start with a higher temperature, and I usually start with 95 degrees Celsius, because these coffees require a bit more energy to extract the good compounds. Then I place the paper in the dripper, and I usually use the classic Hario V60 02 made in Japan, not made in Holland, because in my opinion they are not good. I wet it well, place the coffee, and I start to brew. First pour, I always keep 50 grams of water, and I pour it quite fast to make sure to wet the grounds uniformly. Then we have the blooming time. For well-rested coffee, I usually do 30 seconds bloom. For coffees that are 2 weeks after roast, I usually give a 40 seconds bloom, and for coffees that are fresher, so like 1 week or even less, I do 50 or 1 minute bloom. This because fresh coffee have more CO2 inside, so the saturation will take more time. After the blooming, the second pour. Another 50 grams of water, with a nice and stable circular pour until I reach 100 grams on the scale. Now I wait until all the water drains to apply the following pour. With this technique, I let all the water drain before applying the following pour, because even if we have the same grind size, the same variable but processed in a different way, for example, one natural and one washed, has a different flow rate during drainage. So basing the water pours with a fixed scale time is not very efficient anymore. You can use timing as a reference after you finish to dial in your coffee or to identify a slow drainage, but I don't suggest it anymore as an instruction for my recipes. The third pour, another 50 grams of water. As always, the same consistent circular pour to give the right amount of turbulence to the coffee grounds. Again, I wait until all the water is drained before applying the fourth pour. Now, if I'm brewing a wash processed coffee, I will apply a fourth pour of 50 grams of water, then wait that all the water drains, and then apply a last pour of another 50 grams of water. So for a total of 5 pours of 50 grams each. But for natural processed coffee, I usually do a long fourth pour of 90 grams of water in this case. This will limit the extraction of bitter compounds, avoiding over-extraction. Once everything finishes dripping, it's time to enjoy the coffee. Now I'll give you some easy tips to adjust the recipe. If the coffee drains fast and it tastes kind of like under-extracted, so with a high acidity and a thin body, grind 1 or 2 clicks finer. This will increase the contact surface and the contact time between coffee and water, increasing the extraction, the sweetness and the body. If you're brewing a natural process coffee and you see that it's a bit slow during drainage and also while you taste has a bit of astringency, I think you should treat that coffee as a washed. That usually happens with natural process coffee from Africa, like Ethiopia or Rwanda, because they are a bit more dense compared to the natural process coffee from Central or South America. So if that happens, grind the coffee slightly coarser and apply 5 pours of water. If you grind coarser but the water is still draining too slowly, don't be afraid to grind coarser. Better to start with a coarser grind setting and then slowly go finer. This way you can still enjoy the coffee even if it's not perfect and avoid wasting too much coffee beans. Okay, for this V60 technique it's all. Of course, if you have questions, you are very welcome to leave a message in the comment section below. If you want to share with me your favorite V60 technique, I will be very happy to read it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you in my next videos, and in the meantime I wish you a wonderful day and delicious coffee. Ciao!